Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request from Guillermo. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie review, re-review, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, a full playthrough, tier list ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And this is the last of the request for Guillermo. Thank you so much for your kindness, man, your generosity, and your patience. I really appreciate it. And I didn't do this on purpose, but funny enough, the last one was my favorite of the ones he requested. Because it's Strange Harvest, which some say 2024, but I'm going to say 2025 because okay, it was in one festival. Well, it was in theaters as much as it could around the time that movie Weapons came out, but it made like a couple $100,000. Got good reviews. Some people feel it was boring, other people enjoyed it for what it was, and I'm one of them. I don't want to prop it up as if, oh my god, this is like the greatest movie. With the slim pickings of horror this year, if you consider companion horror or sci-fi horror, I didn't mind that one. I liked Hard Eyes, that's me. This would be my favorite of horror this year. Number one, I'm a sucker for these movies that try to be fake documentaries. Either found footage or fake documentaries. I'm a sucker for that. I mentioned before, there's a film called The Tunnel, which was people being interviewed in Australia, and they went into these tunnels, and some people made it, some people didn't. So they get interviewed, and then they also have footage of their experience. Really like The Tunnel. And actually, it's right here. Didn't even do that on purpose, but yeah, right here. Enjoy this one. I also enjoyed Population Zero, which is not horror. It's more of a, I would say, drama, but it's trying to be like a fake documentary, mockumentary. There's other films. Butterfly Kisses did that. Savage Land did that, and I enjoyed those as well. So I'm a sucker for it. I thought this was one of the better ones. It plays off as if it's one of those Netflix crime documentaries that you watch. And while there are some errors here and there, I thought for the most part they did a pretty good job. What I liked about this was I thought the acting was really good. I thought the acting was really natural, especially the two detectives that are interviewed. I thought that the story was interesting enough to make me go, where is this going? What's going to happen next? And it went at a good enough pace that I wasn't bored at all. So, the setup is, it takes place in Southern California, and these two homicide detectives, Kirby and, oh, what was her other name? What was the girl's name? The actors are Peter Sizzo and Terry Apple. Lexi and Kirby. So Kirby's the guy, Lexi's the girl. And they seem like they would be detectives. They're older. I especially like the lady, Terry Apple. She was very natural. Like, I bought her as like this tough detective, but she had some pretty fun reactions, lines throughout it that I did enjoy. Same old shit. Yeah, some of the dialogue she would say. It felt real coming from her. Like she had to buy her as a homicide detective or worked at a truck stop in Arkansas or something. So, and I mean that in a good way. So they introduce themselves as they're being interviewed for this documentary, and they mention about stuff that was happening around July 2010. And how this girl named Casey, who is a friend of You come to know as the victim. Her friend had not come by for lunch. She's wondering what's going on. She calls. Did you do a checkup? You see the POV of the cops, their camera going in, and there's dead bodies. In particular, 3 dead bodies at this table. And you see that they're tied up and duct taped, and it's pretty good makeup effects. And you find out not only have they been murdered, but they've been murdered in a ritualistic way, where there's like a certain symbol on the ceiling, and they're sat up, tied up, and they were cut with box cutters, and bled into these buckets, and each person got a bucket under their feet, and so the blood came in, and the killer put going, one line said going, and one line said gone, meaning when the blood gets to here, that means they're dead. So that whole setup, I went, okay, this is interesting. You have this killer that's doing these crazy ritualistic murders. The acting seems natural. The way it's edited feels like it would be, again, a Netflix type of documentary. Sometimes you look at some footage, and maybe it's just me, but I notice like maybe someone has a phone or a watch that may not be in the correct time that that they're supposed to take place in. If you don't notice that, you won't be bothered. But if you do notice it, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, that shouldn't be there. That's not this year. But yeah, if if you don't notice that, then it's not an issue. And pretty much it's just this series of murders that happens, where they are trying to find clues. Each time they get to a crime scene, they can't find much. And about how some of these crimes seem to start way back in 1993 and 1994. And you see the crime scenes, and I did some pretty graphic aftermath. Some people weren't big on the practical effects of the bodies. I thought they looked pretty good. What's weird about it, though, one thing that I don't know if in a crime documentary, if they would show some of this stuff as graphic as they do. But I mean, that's where it goes into it's a movie. But I'm sitting there going, okay, if this was a crime documentary, they would not show some of this gore. They would not show some of this bloodshed. Like, they wouldn't show some of this. I mean, granted, maybe there's certain Netflix crime documentaries I haven't seen that they would. But I mean, no, like some of these, like Aftermath, the Coroner, or these, like, I don't know if they would show that. And the funny thing is, there's one picture that's censored, and it's a dead dog. Whereas, like, a dog's been killed, and there's, like, a big black censor on it. And I'm sitting there going, okay, if it was a crime doc, I could see that happening, but it's funny how the dog is the one that's censored, but the humans are not. And I'm kind of sitting there going, I get it. It's your two worlds. You got two minds. On the one hand, you want this to be a movie, so you want to have people see the makeup effects. On the flip side, if you try and get into the believability of the crime doc, you wouldn't see this amount of aftermath of these crimes. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, the family, the victims would have a fucking sue happy, we'll sue you at, type of thing. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't do it, then it's like, oh man, you don't get to see a lot of blood. If you do it, then you have the stuff that I'm thinking of. I just went along with it, because, of course, at the end of the day, this is not real. We know it's not real. But if I'm willing to suspend my disbelief on that to enjoy the ride of this otherwise interesting looking crime documentary. I got into the story. I got into finding out who the killer is, what the person's motive is. There may be something else going on. If you're not into that kind of concept, you may find it boring. You may find it not interesting. But again, for me, who's a sucker for that, where I just see a crime. Okay, imagine watching a crime documentary and you see some interesting stuff, but then for me personally, you have that guilt of, well, I'm intrigued, but these are still people that died, so I have that kind of, maybe guilt's the wrong word, but like, that icky feeling as this a real dead body. But because this is all a movie, you get intrigued by the mystery, but you don't have to feel that weird guilt about being intrigued about. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to get into this without spoiling it, but I thought the acting was really good. I thought that the payoff, I didn't mind it. It does leave certain stuff. Like, I get what happened, but I'm just going to have to go into spoilers. Spoilers, otherwise I'm going to be floundering about trying to explain. So again, I like the two leads. I like that they show a lot of different types of footage in terms of they have like news programs from back to the day, and they really do make it look like it's news programs with the video quality back to the day. I do like that. I thought that was a nice touch. Seeing like the security camera footage or cop POV, or there's always like different things they're utilizing, much that it doesn't feel too stale, at least to me. For the most part, I just saw practicality. I didn't see. There is a kill in a donut shop, which is security camera, where someone gets stabbed, and when the knife's pulled, I see blood splatter. Maybe it's just me, but I'm like, okay, is that CG blood? Or am I just so used to complain about CG blood that I just automatically want to go there? Granted, it's far away, and it's like a minute part of it that you could go either way. But the part of my brain was, okay, is that CG? Like, if it is, don't do that. Don't use it. So, I mean. But other than that, the other stuff I saw was done practically, the aftermath of the bodies. Some that I thought was pretty brutal and pretty interesting. So again, we find these three bodies of this family, including this little kid, tied up. Their blood has been drained from their body into these buckets, which I thought was a pretty creepy idea. And again, they're going, gone, just how sadistic the killer is. I thought that was creepy. And then how they link the murders from 1993, where our torso is found. And you have these, again, crime photos that look pretty uneasy. Again, I don't think in a real documentary they would show it this graphic. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm saying that, don't get me wrong, they could be graphic, but I don't know about this graphic. In 1994, there's an 82-year-old guy that tried to defend himself who was bludgeoned with an oxygen tank and got stabbed. A 12-year-old in 95 was abducted and then later found. And that was a really creepy image where you find the body, it's in the mud, and there's this one shot where you see like parts of the skull. That was a bit creepy because your mind's going, that's a 12-year-old, and you see the skull and the way it looked. I thought that was a very creepy bit of business. And then the cops keep getting these letters about how there's, 10 more to go, there's 8 more to go, there's 5 more to go, and talking these kind of things that you try to wonder, what the hell is he talking about? The person who, there's a head found, and the lady's boyfriend tried to fight back, but he got burnt with a blowtorch, and he's interviewed, and some may make fun of the look of the burnt face. I thought it looked good practically because it's supposed to be burnt, so he's messed up. And it's supposed to be sometime later, so it wouldn't look as fresh. I thought it looked fine. Some people made what the some people made mocked it or something. I thought it looked like a good effect. And then pretty much it's kind of like a series of bodies found. Now that may seem a bit repetitive, but that does happen a lot of these crime documentaries where it's like, oh, here's another victim, this is what happened here, here's what happened here. As they're trying to deal with the investigation, one was found in a pool with barbed wire around and there's leeches and it took days. Oh, as Lexi said, it took a shitload of leeches. But they're able to get some info from this homeless guy. And the killer wanted him. And I thought this was an interesting idea. I think they could have gone further with this, where he had found something that he put a bracelet on, and it said like he was a diabetic or something, and then he realized, oh, this is my bracelet, and the guy got pissed and kicked him out. Now, why he tipped the homeless guy out and then just kill him? But I guess you could say if he killed the guy, then maybe, I don't know, it would bring attention to him. But at the same time, you could chalk that up to a number of people who get murdered per day. So I don't know why he would let him go just so that eventually he could tell someone something. But I guess you could say, people make mistakes all the time. That's how cops do get a criminal. So I'm willing to let that go. Ultimately, one of the cops realized, hey, we could get a fingerprint on this telescope. And that telescope does come back later for importance. One lady, while she's like on a webcam or something, she gets shot. She survived. She gets to the hospital. And then the killer just went in, pretending to be an orderly. And I'm kind of sitting there going, okay, they admit that they fucked up and they were right there. But I'm kind of sitting there going, well, wouldn't you know who this guy is now from the fingerprint, the homeless guy's description? You found his place, or one of his places. You know what he looks like. Wouldn't that picture be around everywhere to every cop? But I guess, that's kind of the point of how they blame themselves and stuff. And I guess on the flip side, there are cops that make the dumbest fucking mistakes. So that then gets to the thing. How, if you want to be realistic, there are cops that make some pretty dumb fucking mistakes. So do you go with it or do you don't? There's one actor I recognized in this, and that's the cops are able to find an individual that knew this killer, which has a pretty creepy looking mask, which I liked, because it's very blank mask. It brings out the creepiness of the eyes. But this acquaintance from back in the day, I forget the actor's name, but I'm like, this guy looks so damn familiar. As they're talking to him, he's being interviewed, and he's talking about how the killer he knew back in the day, and he went to some cave and had this vision, and he changed since then. I'm thinking, what, he had a bad LSD trip? But this guy being interviewed, he was in Streamers, the Peter Weller film Streamers. If you ever seen the film, there's a ship that crashes, and there's only one survivor. It's a guy named Private Jefferson. He's a younger guy, and he tells Peter Weller about how the war has changed and how this is how they get the info that they've pretty much been abandoned. They left us here to die, and that's why Peter Weller's going to go on his journey, because this Private Jefferson guy has given him this information. So I'm like, oh shit, I haven't seen that guy since the movie Streamers. So Granted, that took away from the it being real, but I mean, again, I know it's a movie, so it doesn't bother me. And you get a little bit of information about where this guy had been from year to year. That apparently he was going through Jerusalem and all these other places for one reason or another. More victims. A guy tried to kill this couple, but the dog stopped him, and he got hurt by the dog, but he killed the dog. And yeah, I just thought it was funny that the one picture they black out is the dog. Which I'm like, if you don't show the human victims, you might as well show the dead dog. It's a horror film. You're trying to elicit that response, that would elicit a response. You get some makeup effect guys, you make up a fake dead dog, give people that ooh reaction. I mean, there's one guy, I thought the most grisly one was a guy that tried to stop the killer at one point. He talks to the cops. He later gets grabbed. He's made to tell on camera that I interfere, so I will be punished or whatever. He gets killed. He's found in a playground where he's like this, and his spine is showing, and like the pieces of his back flesh are kind of. It looked like something from fucking Hellraiser or Event Horizon. I think that's why it's like it really does that type of gore and like the first Hellraiser and Event Horizon, somewhat like that stuff felt more grisly and more nasty to me. And I thought that scene in the playground where someone finds the body, that I thought was the most visceral. I'm like, oh shit. So the cops are trying to figure out, and then one of the detectives remembers, well, wait a minute, why did that guy have that telescope? And they look and they talked with some people, and there's a planetary alignment which is in connection with this symbol this guy keeps having, and there's like Mercury and like these planets align. I forget what the hell it's called. This rare planetary alignment, and this is ritual. They find evidence. They find this room with these organs, and pretty much some other stuff happens that results in the last potential victim, this baby, being kidnapped. And with the help of some people, they realize they're going to be in this forest. Now, they have these cops that go in, and I didn't mind it, but I kind of wish it was more of the detectives themselves, the two of them, going through this situation. And maybe it's like the two of them with... I wish the two main characters were with these cops, because like these are brand new characters that we don't know about, including this officer, which you find out later he was stabbed and put into a wheelchair because of this. I don't know. There's something about that I felt off. I don't know how to put it. It's other than the few nitpicks. That was one of the things I'm like, I don't know about this stuff with the cops. But eventually, you see from his camera, his body cam, that the guy's ready to kill the baby, and you see someone going on in the sky. And I thought that was handled well enough, because if it's too big, if it's too goofy, if it's too silly, it looks like a Sci-Fi Channel thing, it looks like an Asylum thing. It's done enough to make you think, okay, it could be something like an Aurora Borealis thing, which they mentioned that. Or it could be something more, like a Lovecraftian type of thing. Because that's hinted throughout it too. Like a Lovecraft type of thing with this ritual. And that's the thing. If you show too much, it'll be looked at as laughable. If you show too little, it'll be looked at as a ripoff. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You gotta pick one or the other, and you don't disappoint the other. It's just how it goes with this type of movie. I was fine with what they went with because I saw enough kind of like a cool little light show, but it didn't look too cheesy or any of that sort. And it ends on a good note. Our detectives come in, shoot the motherfucker, save the baby. Guy's found dead with a bunch of fucking leeches on his face. Nice effect. They wrap it up with the people who were the families of the victims, and they kind of wrap things up. And then there was this one letter that the killer had: if this finds you, then I guess I wasn't successful. Maybe I'll see you later. And one jokes, well, what do you think about the letter? I guess we'll find out in another 800 years. Because that's when this planetary thing aligns, is 800 every 800 years. So it gives you where, if you want to buy into the supernatural stuff, you can. But if you want to buy into he's just a serial killer, you can as well. I go for more of, I think their purpose is the supernatural stuff, but you could argue it the other way as well. But I do think they're going for that way. And then there is a post-credit scene where the guy, Kirby, that cop, he's looking for these caves, and he seems like he's close to it because he wants to understand what happened. Now, some people argue, oh, he's going to go there and get possessed, just like this one guy did or whatever. And I'm sitting there going, that wouldn't make any fucking sense, because say this guy, I don't even know how old this actor is. Let's say he's 40. Okay, let's say he can make it to 80. We'd all be that lucky. Okay, if this killer does it every 800 years, or whatever the fuck demon, whatever the fuck thing, what's it going to do for the other 760 years? Fart around, at a fucking... What? I mean, isn't its purpose... If you believe... I mean, again... So it could be that they were hoping maybe they could do a sequel where now it's about explaining the details, which we don't need. So to be honest, you don't need to see the post-credits scene. You just forget about it. Hell, I could just think he went there. He found a letter that said, "Fuck you!" Smiley face. The guy got pissed, went home, grabbed a pizza, fucking Pizza Hut, stuffed crust, came home, got some mellow yellow, ate, jerked off, went to sleep, and went to have another day of being a police officer. You can think of that too. Hell, you can think of it without the jerking off. But I'm just saying that's what I would do. Pizza, mellow yellow, jerking the dirkin, go to sleep, wake up, clean up, and then have another day. But, while in the third act with the cops, I wish that was more of the two detectives in the middle of the danger. I think that's why, because we have our two main characters. Them being potential danger, close calls, I think would have made it more of the viewer to be pulled in instead of just... I mean, yes, they're cops, but they're people we just met just now. You know what I mean? Like, you have your two main characters there in the midst of the other cops, then at least... I don't know how to put it. I'm looking at it as a movie narrative. But yeah, I liked the story for the most part. I liked how pulled in I was to the story. I thought the acting was very natural. I thought the two people that played the cops worked very well. I thought, some of the aftermath effects, gore was pretty good. Again, there's nitpicks here and there, like I said, but overall, I did like it. I did quite like the film. I don't really do star ratings, but if I had to, I'd probably give it maybe a 3.5 out of 5. And yeah, if you had those, I think if the two leads were really, if you really had this scary, intense ending with maybe these two leads, I don't know, let's say in the woods there was some fucking mine they had to go through and they didn't know where the killer was and the killer's in here, like they're trying to get to it, but the killer maybe thinks he has time, is going to try to snuff these cops out, or the cops, they split and the killer's killing them one by one, you see with the body cam, or if not killing them then slicing them up, or if it's not a mine then like something else, which the cop, which he does in the woods. But I think there's more suspense they could have gotten out of that. I think there's more tension they could have really ratcheted up from that. Because I think like the killer just like first starts shooting at them, which I mean in real life a gun's scary, but in horror films, you know, weirdly enough, a knife is more scary than a gun. I know that doesn't make sense, but oh, a cop gets shot through the cheek. That might have been CG too. I'm guessing that was, and maybe the thing with the donut shot was. So that might have been. I did. But yeah, I like the story. I like the actors. I like the vibe of the movie. I liked the backstory angle, Lovecraftian hints they gave out. And overall, I thought it was, you know, pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Now, this is the scariest movie of the year, you know. Movies don't scare me. I'm just, you know, I'm more scared of the fucking snake that was in my goddamn bathroom a week ago because there was a hole in one of the sinks that we never use. So I'm doing a commentary. I go up and there's a fucking snake right there in the door. That was more scary. Thankfully, got it and got the fuck like a mile away and get the fuck out of here. But, and then fix the fucking hole. Thankfully, I guess, you know, been here a few years, it's happened once. But you got him gonna be paranoid with that. So, that's more scary than this, okay? Yeah, that's... Fuck the Indiana Jones. I hate snakes, I hate them. Fuck them all. But anyway. But like, there are some details I like when they're explaining the leeches, and they have like a guy who knows about leeches, and they show like the details on how the leeches get the blood. I thought that stuff was cool, kind of neat to see, fairly well handled. But yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.